Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline right here at etrailer. Today we're talking about tire chains, specifically here on our 2025 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited with our Glacier Chain cable tire chains. Now these are cable chains. Glacier Chain is the brand, and these are ideal for low clearance behind tire situations, but you still need extra traction in snow and maybe a little bit of ice. Now this is very Jeep specific in the sense of Jeeps, especially Jeep Wrangler Unlimiteds, have a bunch of different trims and a bunch of different tire sizes. So definitely check your owner's manual first, because that will have different recommendations depending on the different types of Jeeps. The one we have here today is the Sahara trim with the tire size 255/70R18. This calls for much smaller, much more low profile tire chains because of clearance behind the tire. In this case, we have a pretty good option here where you have an affordable chain, gives you good traction, is relatively easy to install, and is a little forgiving when it comes to tire size. But I still have recommendations like an add-on rubber tensioner to really get your most out of this chain. You can see why it's called a cable chain. So you have your cables wrapped around on the inside, but then you also have your rollers on top. So this all works together, that even though when you have snow on the road, this will bite into the snow, but the rollers combined with the cables will prevent snow from accumulating too much on the tires. So this all works together so you have that traction. Now I have noticed that season to season, these rollers do have the tendency to rust or break off unless you are properly stowing your snow tire chains away at the end of every winter. For storage, the chains do arrive in this bag, and you get 2 chains, driver's and passenger side. This is really helpful, especially if you're going through areas that require you have tire chains. Sometimes you don't even have to install it, you just need to have them, but you also need to be able to install them at a moment's notice. So this is a great peace of mind, good to have in preparation for those long road trips. But for proper and safe storage, I do recommend after using these, make sure you dry them off completely. And then a lot of people just put them in large totes and just fill the totes with oil or a lubricant. That way these don't rust over time. And then when you need them for the next season, you're prepared. Taking a look behind the tire real quick, here's what that clearance looks like. Now you're gonna have less clearance behind your rear tires here on your Jeep because of all these different components. But with our tire chains, you can see that they're very low profile. They don't take up a lot of space behind the tire, and you're gonna be much less likely to interfere with these components as long as you install your chains properly. So if you're curious about that installation process because you like these chains, stick around. What I recommend doing is pretty much the moment you get your tire chains, go ahead and try test fitting it on your Jeep. That way you can see the tire chains, see how it looks, and then get familiar with how to install it on your tires, and then you know what to do before you're stranded by the side of the road in the snow. Now, a thing that trips a lot of people up is the orientation of the tire chain. So our tire chain looks really good here. No rust spots, all the rollers are in place. Not that I've ever really seen rust in new chains. And then we also have our lever over here facing away from the tire. You're gonna want to look for the flag as well. So it's gonna say left hand or right hand. So we're on the left hand or the driver's side, and then the arrow is facing towards the front of the vehicle. So if that looks good, time to put it on. I lay it out in front of the tire, making sure it's centered over there. And then when I lift it up and over, I can make sure we have an equal amount of tire chain on each side. That looks good. We're now ready to make our back connection. You're gonna have a long cable here that has these tabs. So these will go into the hook in the large open part, and when you're ready to tighten it down, just pull. So since this is gonna be a larger tire chain, we're gonna go for a tighter fit You can always adjust the number of tabs depending on what fits you best. Just make sure that when you do have a longer excess chain here, that you secure it with the red clips. And that way it doesn't flop around as you drive around, and you do have 2 clips for use. The front is going to look pretty similar, but now we have a lever involved too. So making sure the lever is open, where you have it in this open position, we're just going to go ahead and secure those tabs again, trying to get as tight as a fit as we can get even before we utilize that lever. Right about there should be good. Now that way, when you pull the lever, there should be a decent amount of tension there. Requires a little bit of work to get this up and over, and then that will secure into the cable. Come on. Oh my goodness. Pushing in just like that, that took a little bit of work, but we got it. And now there is some excess cable. If we had more cable, we could secure it with these clips here. This should be enough though. It won't come in contact with our tire as we go along. If needed, you can always adjust the length in the back and the front just for the best fit overall. Some things you want to look for is making sure that the tire chain covers all of the sidewall and there isn't any gap for it to potentially come off. You also want to pull at the chain, and if you can get the chain like a good distance away from the tire, then it's too loose. Do that process again until you really have it cinched down. Another thing I recommend people getting in addition to this is an add-on available here at eTrailer, are some rubber tensioners. So these have hooks that hook into your tire chain, and then that way as you drive around, your tire chain may shift as you hit different rocks and ice and things like that. This will shift with you. So something that's not technically needed, but I definitely recommend it. But yeah, that's gonna be the process for how you install these chains. You're gonna repeat this process on the other side of your vehicle, and then I recommend driving forward or backward a couple of feet just to see if it shifts around on your tire. And if it all looks good, then you're all set. This is how you install your cable tire chains on your 2025 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.